Hello all, welcome to my channel. Today is going to be a super exciting tutorial and we are going to learn all that is required for us to know about data frames. So this is going to be a little lengthy tutorial, but we'll try and cover everything about data frames. All right, without wasting any time, let's get started. First of all, what is a data frame? We have already learnt about vectors in some of our previous tutorials. When we combine two or more vectors vertically and then assign that to a variable, that variable will be called a data frame. So, in short, data frame is nothing but a combination of two or more vectors. Let's try to elaborate upon that with a simple example. Say we have a variable a and let me assign some random numbers between 1 and 100. And to do that, I use the sample function 1 to 100 and I have 15 of them. So we already have some values in A. Similarly, let me also have another variable created with sample between 1000 to 2000. And again, I create 15 of them. Let me just create one more variable, c is equal to, this time I create a sample of characters and I create a sample of characters using an inbuilt R variable letters, and again I create 15 of them. So just for us to understand what exactly we have in this inbuilt R variable, letters, and if I click on the enter button, we have all the characters from A to Z. So using sample letters 15, we are extracting 15 randomly generated characters from A to Z. All right. Now that we have all these three variables created, A is an array of integers and so is B, whereas C is an array of characters. Now, to create a data frame, let's create a variable called df, and data dot frame is how we create a data frame. And inside that, if we just pass a, b and c, the three variables we created just now, and once we click on the enter button, we have this data frame created here. Now if I just click on this, we have our R data frame displayed. As you can see here, A, B and C are the column names and all the details we have of these variables happen to be the rows. We have 15 of them here. Alright, let me just close this and let me just minimize this as well. So if I just print df, I have all these details here. And if I click A, B and C, here if we see 6, 1, 2, 7, 9 and O, 6, 1, 2, 7, 9 and O, they happen to be the first row of this data frame. Similarly 38, 1, 2, 7, 8 and Y, 38, 1, 2, 7, 8 and Y, they happen to be the second row of the data frame. So this is how a data frame is created in R. This is very similar to the Excel file that we have where we have plenty of rows and columns. Now, in the data frame, if we just want to look at the top 5 records that are displayed from the first to the fifth row, we can use the head function and we just pass the data frame here. And if we just mention 5, we can see the 5 records from the first to the fifth row. If we do not pass anything, we'll get to see records from first to the sixth row. Similarly, if we just pass tail here and df inside the parenthesis, we get the last 6 records of the data frame. Now, let's try to understand how can we add a row to this data frame. All right, let me just print df again and let me create a new variable for that. New row is equal to, and since I want to create a record, which means I have to create 3 values, 2 integers and 1 string. So I need to create an array of values. So I'll be passing it inside the combine function. And let me just create some random numbers, 50, 1050. Let me also pass z here. So this is the new row that I want to insert into this data frame. So how can I do that? I can use the rbind function, which is nothing but the row bind, rbind. And inside the row bind function, what do I want to combine? I want to combine the data frame df and the new row which I created just now. If I click on the enter button, we have the 16th row also inserted here. But since I have not assigned it to the data frame, my data frame will not get updated with this 16th record. So if I want to do that as well, all that I need to do is assign the row bind function back to the data frame in this way. Now if I click on the enter button, data frame now has 16 records. So if I print df, we have the 16th record as well in the data frame. Similarly, if I want to create a new column here, say I want to create a column D. Now that we have 16 records here, I have to create an array which has 16 elements. So if I again run a sample function, and now if I have numbers between say 10,000 to 20,000, I need to create 16 of them. Once I click on the enter button, I have D with 16 numbers as well. So what do I do now? cbind function, which is the column bind function. So once I use the column bind function, I want to combine the data frame and the new variable d, which I just now created, and we have this new column as well added. But just like before, if we have to update our data frame only has 16 observations and 3 variables. So if I want to update this as well, I will have to reassign this to the variable df. Once I click on the enter button, now we have 4 variables. So this is how we add a new column and update our data frame in R. Super. Now if we want to change the names of the columns, how can we do that? So we have this function called call names. So if I click on the enter button, the column names are A, B, C and D. Now if I just want to change the first 2 columns, I can do that like this. Call names df also appears like a vector of 4 elements A, B, C and D. So if I want to change the first 2 elements, I can just use the square bracket and say 1 to 2. Alright, now if I assign 2 different strings, first column and second column, and now click on the enter button, the names of this data frame, the first 2 column names have actually got changed. If I want to test it, the first 2 column names have now changed to first call and second call. However, if I want to change all the columns, I can do that using call names df, and I don't have to pass any array or any slicing here. I just have to pass all the new names like this. Now if I type df again, column names have now changed to first, second, third and fourth. So this is how we update the column names in R. Alright, fantastic. If I want to do a filtering of this data frame, let's say I want to filter only those records which have the value of the first column greater than 70. So how do we do that? I can use the subset function. Subset. And what am I subsetting? I am subsetting the data frame df. And how do I want to subset? I want to subset by the first column, and all the values in the first column should be greater than 70. Now if I click on the enter button, so here we have only those records where the first column has values greater than 70. Now once again, since this is just a temporary display, I have not assigned it to any new variable. I can once again call that function and do that using another variable, say temp1. So now I also have a new data frame created which has these 4 records and 4 columns. Now in this temp1, if I want to do slicing or indexing, it works very similar to the vectors. So if I do a temp1, and inside the square bracket, if I want to display all the second and third rows, this is how I do it. And I also want all the columns, so I have to pass a comma here leave everything blank after the comma, which means I want to display all the columns. Once I click on the enter button, it displays the second and the third rows and all the columns. However, if I want to display only the first and the fourth column here, to do that, I can pass it in the combine vector. So if I just pass 1 and 4, once I click on the enter button, we have just the first and the fourth column of the second and third rows displayed over here. And similarly, if I just want all the rows to be displayed only for the second and third columns, I can do it this way. So I pass a comma here. So everything before comma should be blank, which means I want all the rows. And after the comma, we are representing columns. So here, if I just pass 2 and 3, and I can do that using a combine operator or 2:3 as well. So 2, 3, once I click on the enter button, we have all the rows for the second and the third columns. All right, fantastic. Now, if I want to check the structure of this temp variable, what do we have in temp? We have temp1. So we have all these 4 columns and 4 records. So now if I do a str of temp1, d is just an integer. So why is it that everything else got converted to a character? That is because when we created this new row, if you look at new row here, new row, which was the 16th row that we tried to create manually, we have all these numbers as strings. We have already learned that a vector can have only one data type. Though the first row had all numbers, but the moment we add a string, that entire row gets converted to a string. So this is exactly what has happened here as well. So with the help of a str function, we can figure out what are the various data types for each of the columns that we have in our data frame. So 3 characters and 1 integer. It also tells us how many observations, how many rows and how many columns we have. That also gives us a summary. There is another way of finding out how many records we have overall, how many rows and how many columns. I can use the dim function here, dim, and inside the parenthesis, if I just pass df, we have 16 rows and 4 columns. And if I need to know only the number of rows, I can just use n row and pass df inside. So that will give me 16 rows. Similarly, the number of columns can be displayed using ncol. All right, now we have this df. If I want to save it as a CSV file, the way to do that is I can use the write.csv function here. And what do I want to write? I want to write this df data frame into a CSV file. So the second argument inside this function write.csv is going to be the name of the file with which I want to save this. So let me save this as a data frame.csv file. Once I click on the enter button, it has got saved as a CSV file. But where exactly did it get saved? On my local directory. So to know that, I need to check the directory in which I am currently. So how do I check the directory? I can use the get wd, get working directory. Click on the enter button. So this is where I am currently. So now if I go to files here we see this is the directory in which we are currently. And the file that we saved, dataframe.csv, here it is. So this is where we have saved the data frame. If I click on the data frame here and click on view file, the file gets displayed here. Okay, now if I want to change the directory of this particular data frame, how can I do that? So just like we have the get working directory, I can also create the set working directory. So set wd, and now here if I want to pass the directory where I want to save this file, I can either type it manually or go to that particular directory folder and copy that folder from here and just paste it inside the quotes, double quote or single quote. And the only change that I will have to do is either I have to do a double backslash here everywhere, or I can use a single forward slash. So I have to change the backslash to a forward slash. And once I do this and I click on the enter button, now if I look at my current working directory, all right, now if I want to save that file right over here in this directory, I can copy this function all over again, Control C, and if I paste it over here and I click on the enter button, now this dataframe.csv has got saved in this new directory, D study YouTube R4. Now if I just check that, here it is. It has got saved as a data frame right over here. Let me just open this in Excel. So here it has got saved as first, second, third, fourth. And I also have this weird thing which is nothing but the row names. So if I don't want this to be displayed, let me go back to RStudio. So if I don't want that row names to be displayed here, I have to pass another variable here. So if I just pass row names equal to false, and now I click on the enter button here. If I go back and once again check the data frames here, now we don't have that column. It's just the column names without the row names here. Okay, fantastic. So this is how we write or copy the data frame as a file in our local directory. Now, if you want to read a file, how can we do that? We use the read function here, read.csv. Now, if I want to read the data frame function, I just have to pass inside the quotation data frame.csv. If I click on the enter button, the same thing gets displayed. But we have to be sure that we are in the same directory as the file that we have saved. And I can as well assign the read function back to a variable. So if I just say test equal to read.csv, and then if I print test here, it would display the same set of data. All right, now let's check one more thing. If I just want to display two columns, I can use a square bracket and I can use say first and fourth. If I click on the enter button, I don't see anything here. That is because I need to pass it inside the combine operator. And if I do it like this, so now it gets displayed. We can even display it this way without using the comma operator, which we were talking about earlier. So there are two ways. Without the comma as well, we can use to display the columns, and even with comma. All right. Now, if we just want to display a particular column, we can do that using test. And let's say if I just display fourth, so it displays all these values here. So this is how we can extract a particular column from a data frame. There is another way of doing that, but please bear in mind that this displays as a data frame. Now, if I type test dollar, the moment I press a dollar symbol, I can see these are nothing but the names of the columns in the data frame test. So if I press fourth here and click on the enter button, now here it displays all the values of that particular column, but it displays as a vector. So that is the only difference. With the square bracket, it gets displayed as a data frame, whereas with the dollar symbol, it gets displayed as a vector. All right. Now there is also one important function which we will be using when we do exploratory data analysis, something called summary. And inside summary, if I just pass the data frame, it gives me a few things out here. Summary df, since we saw that the first three columns have got converted to characters, it just says it has got 16 characters. But wherever we have numeric values, so fourth, the column fourth is having numerical values, and it is ranging from 10248 to 19847. This is the minimum value and the maximum value. And it also gives us the mean and the other important statistical values, which we will be learning in the subsequent tutorials. It's nothing but the first quartile, median, mean, and the third quartile. We can also display, or we can also get these important statistical terms displayed using a function 5num. And inside that, if I just pass df dollar and the fourth column, if I click on the enter button, so we just have the minimum and the maximum, the median. So mean is not considered to be a very important feature or a parameter as far as data science is concerned. Median is given more importance or more weightage. Why is that so? Again, once we learn a little more about statistics, we'll be learning about that as well. All right, looks like I have covered almost all that is required for us to know about data frames. But there's just one more thing that I would like to explain before we end this tutorial. So there are a few freely available data sets in R. And how can we check them? Using the data, and in the parenthesis, I've not typed anything, but I can already see quite a few things getting displayed over here. These are nothing but all the free data sets, all the data sets that are freely available in R. You can have a look at them. If I just come out of the parenthesis, hit the enter button, those same data sets get displayed here as well. For example, let me take, say, air quality. Let me just type air quality here. So air quality has got quite a few records. It has got 153 records. If we see, there are also something called NA, which is nothing but the missing value. So there are quite a few of them. We can see here as well, here as well. So if you want to know how many missing values are there in a particular data frame, the way we do that is we can use this function is.na, and inside that, if we pass the data frame, which is air quality here, but if we pass this, it will just highlight true wherever we have a missing value, and everything else will be false. So this does not give us useful information. So if we, for example, if you just want to find the total number of missing values in each of the columns, we can use the call sums function, and inside the function we can just pass is.na, and inside is.na we can pass the data frame. So what this does is, I am sorry, I am passing the wrong data frame here. I have to pass air quality because df is something which we created and we did not have any missing values in that. Now if I click on the enter button here, it says there are 37 missing values in the first column and 7 missing values in the second column. Everything else seems to be fine. So this is how we can also find the missing values. I would encourage you to explore a few more data frames here where we can try to practice whatever we have learned so far in data frames. All right, this is what I wanted to share with you about data frames. In the next tutorial, we'll be covering all these important functions and parameters that we will be using in Python. If you have any doubts, suggestions, feedbacks, please do post them in the comment section. See you in the next tutorial. Thank you very much.